Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Arts and Lifestyle Wednesday, presented by Cinematic Visions, and it's time for another edition of Danny and Tim's Music Scene. And it seemed like perhaps by this much down the road, almost 2 months since we started to have to stay home and not go to venues and clubs and everything, that Tim and I might have a little bit of trouble thinking of things to talk about, but music is so vast and different and so accessible in so many ways that there's always great discussion to be had. And obviously, we're just starting to get to the point where maybe in small doses we'll be able to have some live music, and whether that's a good idea or not, we'll have to wait and see how people embrace it, see how bands embrace it, consuming music in a variety of different ways and enjoying it. Certainly, it is one of the great releases you can have when you're under the gun, as it were, in these particular situations, and people can find their entertainments, luckily, in this day and age in a variety of platforms, but nothing's quite like going and seeing a new band or going to a club and having a shared experience or going to a big show, and we are still quite a ways away from that, although loosening things up right now, whether it's a good idea or not, we're starting to see it happen. That's all on the plate today with Tim Finn from In Kansas City Magazine, and of course you can hear him at a variety of venues, including 90.9 The Bridge with John Hart on Thursdays. And it's always fun to talk music with Tim. I love it every other week, and we'll start doing it coming up next.
Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Visions' goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. My friends at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture are among the most accomplished and trusted clinics in the nation. Only one clinic has been rated in the top 5 in all 3 categories of chiropractic care, acupuncture, and rehabilitation, and that clinic is ASFCA. They have locations in Olathe, Overland Park, Prairie Village, Belton, and Lee Summit. Doctors Brad and Christina Woodle and their accomplished team of doctors and therapists will treat you like family, for the simplest of injuries to the most complicated conditions to avoid surgery. Whether you are seeking treatment for an injury or just looking to stay healthy and fit, this is the place for you. And it's been the place for me for almost 2 years now. I have been a strenuous daily exerciser for years, and as time goes on, that takes its toll. But regular appointments at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture have helped keep me ticking on, and even as the years pile up, their regular care has allowed me to keep to my regimen and feel great. If you want to feel the same, give them a call or visit them at asfca.com/Danny. They accept all insurances and are open Monday through Saturday, and make sure to mention that Danny Clinkscale recommended Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery, wishing you well while you stay safe during this time of uncertainty. Due to the recent news, you won't be able to get the same in-restaurant experience at the 23rd Street Brewery that you've come to expect over the past 16 years. But you can get the same delicious items prepared with the highest level of staff cleanliness available for carryout and delivery through our partners Eat Street. You can also still enjoy our craft beers and crowlers for to-go service. So remember, stay safe, and together we will all get through this time of uncertainty.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Tim, we fight the good fight. We move along and gently, generally getting little cracks and rays of sunlight in our world, and whether we are rushing not to judgment but back to return too soon is something we'll touch on in a minute, but trying to find our ways to entertain ourselves. And one musical ray of sunshine, or rays of sunshine, that's come into my world is the fact that all of a sudden on my cable system, I don't know whether they just are being nice for Corona or whatever, Access TV has shown up and been available on my Consolidated Communications site, and my wife and I instantly have scheduled DVRing everything we can as far into the future, because we sure as hell don't know how many things are going to be on there. But you have it, and there's all kinds of great musical content on there. And so far, we've already watched a Lindsay Buckingham. We've already watched the ZZ Top thing that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which was quite an interesting way to do a documentary. And there's all kinds of great stuff there, and I can highly recommend it if people have it. If it's Consolidated Communications, it's channel 655. And it was always just sitting there teasing me, because on the grid it would say that it was available, and then I'd click on it and say, "This is not. You got to call your provider." And my wife was having none of raising our bill any. So, but now it's free, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I check that out at least 3 or 4 times a day just to see what's coming up. Last night we watched the making of the Doors' first album, because they do a lot about, classic album documentaries. I've found out within the last few weeks that we get Amazon Prime too, and those are available pretty much any time over there. But if you get access, they air those frequently. They also air a lot of just band documentaries. Some of them have been absolutely fabulous. There's one on Terry Kath, the Chicago guitarist for Chicago, who was an amazing guitarist and died very young, and really, playing Russian roulette of all things, and that was great. There's a documentary on Genesis. All the former Genesis members got together and just kind of relived that band's history. That was fabulous.
Yeah, we have that one racked up, so I'm looking forward to watching. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Genesis, but I think they're interesting guys, and I think that will be a great one. We have that one all set to go. So.
Right, and also look up for classic album Peter Gabriel's So. That's a really fantastic documentary as well. But yeah, Access, I tune into that a lot, just to it's one of the first channels I investigate every morning when I get up.
Yeah, so highly recommend that to you folks. And I think people are ready for it, too ready probably, but are ready for not revisiting things over and over again. And it's nice to be able to balance fresh with vintage. And maybe now we're starting to move towards that in small steps. I saw an article today, and this is the counterbalance to it, that said that Missouri is in the bottom 5 in the nation in restrictions on their residents, and part of that is reflected on the fact that Governor Mike Parsons is really sort of encouraging the return of live music.
Yeah, there was kind of a carte blanche announcement. He didn't put many restrictions on it. I think he did that knowing that the local municipalities would impose their own restrictions, which is what has happened here. But it was a little, curious when I saw that. I guess it was over the weekend. And Billboard magazine ran a story about it, and I posted the link to that on my Facebook page, and got a ton of responses from some venue owners who were saying, "Yeah, no thanks. There's no way." Especially here, where there's a 10% limit, 10% of your capacity, and just trying to figure out how to, marshal people into the bathrooms and back, and getting drinks and marking off 6 feet, and they're like, that's not going to happen. It's got to get to at least, minimum 25, but 50% at least would be nice. So that's probably not going to happen for a while. But I suppose there are some knuckleheads. We can talk about that in a bit. They just yesterday released a press release that they're going to, towards the end of this month, going to have some in-person live shows.
They have had some streaming shows, and we'll get to the fine article you wrote that's in Kansas City Magazine about a host of musicians and how they've approached music during the coronavirus. The 10-10-10, and I think Mayor Lucas of Kansas City, Missouri, has done an outstanding job all along, but just when you do the math on the 10-10-10 for a restaurant or a club, it just doesn't work. I mean, if your restaurant holds 200 people, which is a big restaurant, that's 20 people, including employees. I mean, it's not even worth doing.
Right, and then he was asked about that after he initially released, his plan, and apparently there's some leeway when it comes to employees, whether they count in that. That was not, the response was ambiguous, but it sounded like there's some flexibility there. So, but yeah, if you're going to, well, let's take, Knuckleheads, for instance. They're on May 15th, so that's not too far away. Outlaw Jim and the Whiskey Benders are going to perform live, and according to the press release, they will do the 10% of capacity. So if you look at their venues, they have 5 stages now. The 2 small ones obviously are not going to work because you'll end up having less than 10 people in them. So fewer than 10 people. So there's either the indoor stage, which holds 250, or 25, probably not. The garage, which holds 650, so 65 people.
Maybe.
That's going to...
Maybe.
Maybe,
with 65? I don't know.
Now, the outdoor stage, when they open up the gates and let people sit outside in the street, that can hold 1,300, but I don't think there's any reason to do that. So I think indoors, it's probably, outdoors without the gates open, you're talking probably 900 people. So I can see 90 people spread around that outdoor stage, maybe, and not looking ridiculous and maybe being worth it, but that 900 figure may be too much too. So 80 to 90 people, I suppose that would work. We'll see. And then he's got another one scheduled, Brass Rewind on May 22nd and Dust Devil Choir on May 23rd. So I don't know. I guess the question is, are customers or fans going to feel safe enough going into these venues? Because it's not going to be new to everybody. And, it's not going to be like going to Hy-Vee where you're in and out in whatever, 10 or 15 minutes. It's going to be a lot different. And the whole routine's going to be completely different. And I suppose you'll have to wear masks, maybe not. Maybe you want to. It's all up in the air. It's good to see, maybe that speck of light is going to get bigger at the end of the tunnel. But I'm a little dubious about how it's going to work out. The unfortunate thing is, and this is just in the LA Times today, Troubadour is in serious trouble, which is one of the greatest music venues in rock history. And they are seriously wondering whether they're going to survive this. They started a GoFund asking for $30,000. They're not even halfway there yet. They're going to double at least their goal, because the owner or the manager said they don't anticipate opening substantially till maybe next summer.
Wow.
And I know, and just thinking we can't survive that. So the news is ominous, but I'm equally as troubled by this rush to reopen. So we'll see how it plays out. But in the meantime, we have people, like you said, the story I wrote for Kansas City, streaming shows, and the Knuckleheads is going to stream a bunch of shows also, including Katie Geena and the Girls, and Danielle Nicole going to do a Mother's Day stream. So there's still that outlet. It may not be as satisfying, but it's still there.
Let me ask you, just personally, would if there was would you go see the show next week?
So
yeah, would you go see a show at Knuckleheads next week? You personally?
It would have to be someone I really wanted to see.
Right.
But even then, I don't know. I don't know, because I don't want to get sick, and I can't think of, the risk here is potentially very high. So, I guess follow the numbers, see what's going on. It would be a very late, last-minute decision.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's going to be hard. Maybe it won't be. You get there and it's like, okay, this is fine. Everybody's being cool. But I just think always in the back of your head, your head's on a swivel, like,
right.
You want to stay safe. And when you're that preoccupied, it's kind of hard to enjoy the show.
There's no question about that. And the other part is you really aren't going to know until you do it. And so then, do you want to do it? Do you want to go in and pay $25 or something and then say, well, this isn't for me, I'm out of here? And
right.
And that's a difficult thing too. And the other thing is we know that the people are talking to medical experts, and we know that the fact that the cases are rising is in large part because they're testing more, but they've been told, obviously, that we're past the peak as far as cases being created. But the announcement of openings is simultaneously being, at the same time, having reports of the highest days of deaths and, new cases all over the place.
Right. Yeah, and I know the numbers are, it's hard to separate the statistics, like why are the numbers going up? Is it because there's more testing? Is it because there's more people getting sick? We don't really know for sure, because I don't think they can parse that immediately. But I just don't see how letting people go out right now, it just doesn't sound like a sound idea. I understand everyone is going nuts, and people are, financially are just under an immense amount of stress and duress, and businesses are worried about closing if they haven't already. So it's completely understandable why people want to get out and why the governments want to open up businesses. But it's just, 2 or 3 months from now, we could be going through this all over again, and it could be worse.
Yeah, I think that when you think of it in the grand scheme of things, I've tried to put it into the context of, we want our music, we want our sports, we want things like that. But we've in the past endured, much lengthier processes like the Depression and things like that, where people had to suffer for a long, long time, or during wartime, rationing and things like that.
Right.
And we just don't. Yes, it seems like a long time, but we've really only been at this for, not even 2 months. And it just is a reflection of the lack of, the lack of, patience in our world naturally, I think is what is hurting this. We just are so used to constant reinforcement and getting things right now, instantly off our computer or anything else. All of this is hurting the whole process, no question, because people maybe 40 years ago, maybe 20 years ago even, might have been cool with 6 months of laying low, but not now.
Right.
Not now.
Right. Well, I just think if you're going to miscalculate, or if you're going to be wrong or inaccurate, it's better to be wrong for the good reasons. Because if it turns out, well, we were overcautious, well, so be it. Right. What did that do? It caused some more economic harm, but we can recover from that a lot quicker than we can if the floor caves in again and we're starting from zero.
Right, and it creates just as much economic problems or more down the line if we don't do it the right way. But we'll wait and see. So some good news. People will be venturing out. Maybe some others will be the ones who are the guinea pigs in this particular process, and we hope maybe things go a little bit better than what we think. Well, coming up next, we're going to talk about a great story you wrote and more about musicians in Kansas City and how they're trying to survive and struggling to do so during the coronavirus. It's a great read at In Kansas City Magazine and the online product as well, as we continue next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
We're visiting with Larry Marshall, former Chiefs defensive back and punt returner and now a Chiefs ambassador. Larry is a former pro football player with the aches and pains that come with that. And moving on in age, as we all are, what do the Canaway CBD products do for you?
It's been a great relief for me. Being a punt and kickoff returner, collisions were a mainstay of my career, and these Canaway products, the salve especially, has really helped me try to get through every day with the aches and pains that I've had over a career of 7+ years in the NFL.
I get similar benefits as well, particularly with my back. Certainly wasn't a football player. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information about the great products themselves?
Well, I'm so enthused about it, Dana. They just contacted me at larrymarshall.canaway.com, and I can give them all the information they need to help them get through the day as well.
Start gaining all the benefits that Larry and I do from the trusted and reliable line of Canaway products. As Larry said, visit larrymarshall.canaway.com and get information on all the great products from Canaway. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Back with Tim Finn. You can read his work at In Kansas City Magazine, and he's got a story up there now in the print version and just up on the online version a few days ago as well about Kansas City musicians. We'll get to that in a minute, but here's where our world is now, Tim. You and I were chatting about Korean baseball right before we went on the air. So,
right.
I mean, there's baseball games on these days, and if that's another little novelty in our world. I watched an entire online soccer match between two soccer players playing FIFA the other day on a Saturday. I couldn't believe I did it. Now, the clock goes fast in FIFA. I knew nothing about it, but I mean, so it's not 90 minutes, but it was a while. We're willing to do a lot of things we never would, right?
Well, I stayed up and watched that first Korean, the league opener on ESPN. I mean, I knew it was going to be late, but I'm usually up late anyway. But just to make it a little more frustrating, there was a rain delay, so I think it was like a 45-minute rain delay. So we had to listen to, guys fill that space with, what little material they had. But I watched it. When you're that thirsty for something, it's gonna taste great for
right
at first, and then but it was fine. It's good baseball. Probably like, really, really good AAA baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There was really good defensive plays, few home runs. There's some good pitching. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't watch the whole game, but they sure were talking about it on ESPN.
and I don't know how this developed, and I don't know why they came to this, but one of the things they're most famous for is bat flips after home runs. They apparently this is a very creative part of the whole atmosphere and culture of Korean baseball.
Right, and there's who knew there were so many ways to flip a bat? But a few of them. Carl Ravitch and another color man was. They were at their homes watching on TV, but the commentary was fine. It was like they were there. Although they couldn't see what they would typically see if they were in the ballpark. So
right.
Some of their calls were a little delayed, but it felt just on some level good to just sit back, listen to a baseball game, and watch a baseball game come out of the TV again. Because there was over the weekend when the weather was so nice, I was dying just to sit on the patio and put a game on the radio.
Right. Baseball is such a wonderful radio game, and we hope to be back to it soon. On the radio, you really can't tell that much that there's no fans in the stands either. So, it'd be kind of cool that is concerned. Let's talk about the article you wrote, and it's about how musicians in the area are handling the coronavirus and the Facebook Live performances and things like that. And just you talked to I think a dozen local musicians, and the way they're approaching different things, raising money for themselves, having enough money early on to pay some band members even, maybe that's starting to be a struggle, and then people doing things for venues and their workers. I mean, it's really pretty inspiring.
It was really, because I had known about most of these projects and plans, independent of each other, but to talk to everyone about them and compile all them into one piece, it was really was really rewarding, and it's just how dedicated people in this community are to the scene as a whole and to each other. Because like Victor and Penny did a fundraiser for the Midwest Music Foundation, which is giving out $250 grants to musicians who need it for, you know, whatever reasons. Typically, it's for medical relief, but this is, I think, the requirements are a little more expanded, a little more liberal, and it could be, hey, I'm having trouble paying rent. So they gave out, dozens of these grants because they raised almost like $15,000, I think, which is a lot of money. And then, Bobbin and Walking Horse, who play at Mike Kelly's West Sider a lot, raised more than $5,000 for the staff there who's not working, which is really generous and really nice and really considerate. And then, so there's that. There are people, keeping their cash flow going, like Mark Lowry, who I opened with. He's, I'm not sure anyone plays as much as Mark does around Kansas City. He'll have 3 shows in one night once. He's a super talented, gifted pianist. He plays all kinds of music, but mostly jazz. But he sets up in his house or apartment like 5 or 6 days a week and takes requests, and that's a virtual jar out there. And he's the one who said at first, I was able to pay the guys who would normally play with me in my trios and quartets what they would expect. He implied that that might be difficult to sustain, but it was good while it lasted. It's good while it is lasting. So there's that. There was Madison Ward of Madison Ward and the Mama Bear testing out new songs online. I think he said he went on to just to see what people thought of this song. He announced he would be on. Hey, I'm going to play a new song or two, and ended up playing for like 45 minutes because people didn't want him to stop. So they're finding some rewards that way. I think one of the more interesting guys I talked to was Kadesh Lowe, whose real name is Ryan Jamal Davis. He's a hip hop artist, a musician. He plays trombone in a couple bands. But he's got this really niche-y thing going where he's into this like anime video game rap thing. It's really kind of obscure, but got a really, really big community following it. Peripheral, I would say, maybe not obscure, but peripheral. And and part of his business is making this YouTube content. But since he's not touring, he's been able to compile a backlog of these so that he's ready to release these a little more frequently. And that's one way he keeps the income going. So the work stoppage has been a curse, but it's also giving him breathing room to really focus only on this facet of his business, and it's helping out a lot. So, it's just the way people are responding. It's so all over the place, and there's going to be a lot of new music coming out. I mean, there already is. People are already releasing a lot of new stuff that they didn't have 8 weeks ago, and I just assume it's just going to keep going.
One of the things, I guess one of the blessings is, if 10 years ago, if this had occurred, there's different ways to virtually tip. There certainly is everybody now is familiar with Zoom technology and FaceTime and things like that. And all of that, you would have been impossible to do some of this stuff not so long ago. So I guess that's one small blessing in the fact that our technology has helped people, keep that alive a little bit. Otherwise, they probably would have just had to, go out in the street at a safe distance and hope people could throw money at them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is really like electronic busking. A lot of it is. But as I pointed out in this piece, there are some musicians and events that are sort of grappling with what the technology can and can't do for them. And one of those is this Rural Grit Happy Hour, which is one of my favorite music events. It's been around Kansas City for more than 20 years. It started at the Grand Emporium, so that's how long it's been going. And then it moved to the Brick when the Grand Emporium closed. But it's basically every 2 hours on Monday night. It's kind of an open call, and the music is kind of old-time country traditional. They have one microphone. Everyone plays around one microphone. It could be one person or 8. And people get together. They have different themes every night. Sometimes they have duos where you might get picked to collaborate with someone you never met, you don't know. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of fun. It's different every week, but there's so many people involved that trying to collate all this, so many people in different spaces and different places. It's been a little rough. And there were still, when I spoke to Kim, who runs the coordinates it, they were still figuring it out 3 weeks in. But each week it got a little better. They're not thrilled with Zoom, the sound, especially the sound. But they're, I think last week she said they were happiest with what happened last week. So, but yeah, it's not everything, I guess, can be reproduced the way you'd want it. The simpler, the better.
Right. Yeah.
Once you get beyond 2 or 3 people, it could get a little messy and complicated.
To bring this full circle, I guess that in closing, I guess one of the things we have to look at as well is, okay, maybe venues are willing to open. Maybe they're willing to, have the social distancing and do these policies and everything. The other aspect of it, especially as shows maybe grow a little bit larger, is will the acts themselves want to get onto tour buses and go from city to city where the conditions are so different or the restrictions are so different? Building a tour or deciding to tour is going to be really a challenging thing for bands.
There's so many things to think about when it comes to the large shows, even large theaters, 200 or 2,500, around here it would be, the Midland and the Uptown, those are the Midland can hold 3,000 tops, the Uptown about 2,100. So maybe it'll be a little easier for them to come back when you go to Starlights and, Sandstone, or Amphitheater in Bonner Springs. And then, of course, the arenas and stadiums. I don't know if there'll ever be another stadium show again, but there's so many things to think about. And you're right, the size of the tour, the larger the tour crew, the more you have to think about and be concerned about. Everyone working in the venues, but it's also if the attendance is going to be depleted in any way, ticket prices will have to be higher. Mm-hmm. And are people going to have the money to spend on tickets to a lot of shows? And, those are variables that no one can predict right now. And I'm just not optimistic that there will be any large shows until next spring, maybe. That's probably the earliest. For one thing, tours have to be organized. So mm-hmm. You can't just do that in, a month. So, and I know that's what even the small venue owners are worried about is when we get the okay, when will the bands start to show up?
Right.
We can run local bands in, and that's fine, but we need the bigger ticket bands to come in. And it isn't just like everyone's going to stand up and go, okay, here we go, we're coming. We'll probably go, you know what, I'm going to wait, or I'm not going to go far from home, or I'm going to wait and see how it goes. Absolutely.
Well, music is such a wide and vast arena. We continue to find things to talk about in the music business, and it seems like drip by drip we'll have more fresh entertainment to be discussing. Tim, always a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Danny.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like the law offices of Kenneth McRae, developing a unique strategy for your family law case. Divorce can be civil law, not civil war.